Hey there, good morning, I'm John. Today is Thursday, October 26th, 2023. Welcome to my daily vlog where I am recording my process of trying to take content creation from a hobby to something that I could keep on doing. Not yet, working on it. Each day we kind of do this little stand-up where I report what I've been doing, what I'm doing next, so you can kind of follow along. I always just thought, you know, when I lost that job a year ago, that it would be interesting to look back, you know, and now I do sometimes. I'll look back. Let's go back to, 2 months in and see where my head was at, what I was doing, what my attitudes were. And it's interesting for me to document this stuff, and I'm sure that's true of anybody who writes a journal or whatever, but this is my way of writing a journal. So let's start with yesterday. So yesterday I was kind of adrift. I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. There was a news item from Atari. I did a video, excuse me, I did a video, it's just always in the morning, my throat's always like that. I did a video about Atari acquiring this Dutch company that had filed for bankruptcy. No, I'm sorry, they didn't acquire, not the company, they acquired some properties from the company, some titles, some IP. And even yesterday, you'll remember, I wasn't sure whether or not it was a video that I should be doing or not. I did some reading and some research. Ultimately, I ended up doing it, and I want to talk about the reasonings around why I did it and what I learned from it. Maybe save that for the end of the video because it touches on something we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The video itself has done poorly in general for our recent stuff. I think overnight it's done, I don't know, 1,000 views or so, which is something that, 6 months ago, John would have said, "Yay, 1,000 views!" And now I'm like, that's not building on anything. Not that you can predict what every video is going to do, but I had a gut feeling that I kind of ignored. So we're going to talk about that at the end. So, so the video is fine. It's informational for people that wanted to know about it. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just we'll talk about it in a second. Also, yesterday I posted another short video, of course. I did the publishing tasks for the podcast, which is out and available to listen to today, all about the Super Friends. And then last night was a live stream, the Halloween edition of 1980s Now that we did live on YouTube and Facebook. So all of that was yesterday. And I think it's helped me to guide what I'm going to do today. Stats-wise, it's about another 50 subscriber day. We didn't hit a new milestone yet, but we're about 15 or so away. So I expect tomorrow we'll have another one to talk about. That'll be perilously close to 40 when we hit that one. So let's talk about today then. I'm feeling a little something. I don't know what it is today. It's not sick. It's not a little demotivated. But I still have stuff to do, so I think today I am going to focus on just working toward that next tier video because it can let me just sit in the chair, relax, play some Atari games, make some notes. And it's stuff that has to be done. I've been putting it off because it's time consuming. But since today I'm not as motivated to do something, at the table or review or whatever, I think doing one of those makes sense. I might not finish it for today or tomorrow or even this week, which I guess that's the end of the week. But getting further along in it will get me closer to being able to actually do the video, which so far it's been sitting in the planning stages with a spreadsheet so far. So I'm thinking maybe I'll start working on that some more today. I've talked about it for 2 weeks, I think. Just other things keep coming up, like they did yesterday. Also, I have to do a little bit of writing for the podcast recording tomorrow. And then I think I have a meeting in the afternoon or something. I forget. Anyway, it's not a super full day, but it's also not one that I'm super motivated to do some other stuff yet right now. And so I guess I feel like I just have to learn when those days when I don't feel that kind of motivation, I pick things I can do that are productive, that don't require motivation. So that's kind of where I'm at for today. So let's talk about that video. So there's a company called Ronimo that they purchased a couple of game titles from, and when I first heard about the news, I looked at it and I went, I don't have anything to say about it really, and I don't just do here's the news. I talk about what I think it means. I don't think it has any far-reaching implications really. What I did do was I convinced myself that because it was Atari News, and because Atari News I had chosen to do in the past did well, that it was worth my time yesterday to spend on this story that, again, kind of felt like a non-story to me. It was just like, oh, also, It wasn't like, oh, Atari acquires Activision or something, right? It was Atari acquires these couple of games that you might have never heard of. I don't need to, you know, belittle the game. Some people are huge fans, but they're not like a Pac-Man. It's not Pitfall, right? It's not. So my gut told me it's not worth doing, but I went against my gut and I said, yeah, I'll find a way to make an editorial out of it. I'll kind of talk about what it might mean. And I just, again, nothing wrong with the video, but while I'm disappointed with the performance of it, it reinforced that I need to trust my gut. I need to remember that this day that I did that video, that I could have done something that's a 5-6 times performer, but I chose to do that just because I was blinded by it's Atari news and therefore I've got to do it. And so remember I said a few days ago, whatever, we talked about every video is a success if it does its job. And so this video, when I published it, its job was to get this news out, comment on it, get some engagement and views. It didn't do that, but as a whole now I'm realizing the purpose of this video for me was, look what happens if you go against your gut. See, you took a little hit yesterday because you didn't trust your instinct that this was a non-story and you choose to try to make something out of it when you could have been doing something else. And so the job of that video now was to always remind me, trust your instincts with what you think is applicable to your audience. I think the audience is starting to adapt to me and my interests. And so if I do something that doesn't align with that, they may not align with it either. And so I think, for me, the job of that video that I did yesterday that got moderate views and probably is done, is to remind me to don't always go with the trend. If you think in your gut that it probably is not worth the time to create content about, go with that. So even here I am a year on, and I'm still learning how to fine-tune what it is that I produce to cater to the audience that I have been cultivating. That's why people don't do this overnight. That's why people don't, by and large, are not successful doing this, because if you dabble and just do what you want and just putter around and just shot in the dark, it takes a lot more strategy than I would have ever imagined. And for me, a big part of that strategy is to go with my instinct, because that is what has got me this far. I went against it a little yesterday, and I learned the lesson that while it was a disappointment, it was a reinforcement and an encouragement that my gut is right, and I'll learn to listen to it more regularly. Doesn't mean I won't make this mistake again, because I might be convinced. I might convince myself that something in the future, though I don't think is right to do, I'll do, and maybe be proven right or wrong, but at least I have added this intuitional data point in my brain that, like, oh, remember that time you went against it? Make sure this isn't another one of those scenarios. So it was a real learning thing for me, that video. It wasn't hard to do. Would I have loved her to do well? I would have loved to have been proven wrong, and therefore that would have been a different data point that I would have learned. But because it did poorly, it's taught me what we just discussed, that, hey, if you think it's probably not right, kind of go with that unless you have a really compelling reason not to. Otherwise, you risk that thing again. So, words to edit by. All right, so look, I've laid out today, we talked about what we're going to do, so I'm going to go ahead and get after it. So I'm just going to thank you for popping in to listen to and watch today's vlog. If you did, thank you so much for that. If you're here every day, you know I love you for being here. So appreciative. Have yourself a fantastic Thursday. I hope you can find time to do something good for yourself, and I'll talk to you again next day. Bye-bye now.